Chapter 7. Now, here's the thing. As I read, the way the brain works, you're not going to hear everything I read and you're not going to remember everything. Don't worry about it. Wash your dishes, make your breakfast, drive to work, listen to me. When spirit wants you to hear something, you're going to hear it. Okay. So all you got to do is drop it in the comments. If you heard something, you were like, whoa, write it down immediately in the comments, because when you write it down, you're further embodying it into your mind. Okay. I have one. I go to a group for that 4 times a week. Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. You got to find ways to like deal with what you're going through in life. So as I read, don't worry if you're not going to remember all of it. Just pay attention to what your mind is picking up on, because that's a tell where your mind wants you to go. So put a 1 in the comments if you're here and if you're ready for this chapter. We're not going to read the whole chapter. It's like 50 pages. We're going to try to get through as much as we can. All right. Liz is here. Ariel, I can't inbox you. I'm sorry, love. I have a boyfriend and we don't do any inboxing private messages to anybody on here. Vegas is here. Thank you. All my ladies are here. Where are the men? All the men gone now that the music is done? Welcome, YouTube. We're getting ready to start chapter 7 of Think and Grow Rich. Let's go. You see, Carabliz, you see how they do us? That's okay, though, because we're here for our betterment. We got this. Oh, there's my babe. Off limits, abort and be gone. Thank you, Sir Triple. You're a bouncer, so you cool, Sir Triple. March 1st, 2021. Let's go. So it says here, success requires no explanations. Success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. Okay, so you have learned that everything man creates or acquires begins in the form of desire. If you don't desire it, how are you going to start the process? That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey from the abstract to the concrete into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. You were instructed to take 6 definite practical steps as your first move in translating the desire for money into its equivalent of money. One of these steps is the formation of a definite practical plan or plans. Have you guys done that? We've been reading every day now these chapters, and they did ask us to make a definite plan. Okay? You will now be instructed on how to build a plan with which to be practical. So number 1, ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation. That's us. That's all of us right here. And carrying out of your plan or plans for the accumulation of money. So we are your mastermind group. Raekwon. It's actually Miss Uma B, but thank you. Locke, good morning. We just started reading the chapter. We're only going to read a few pages because this is a long chapter. So if you want wealth, you got to get a group of people who support you and who want to see you have wealth. That's number 1. Number 2, before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. So for me, I have my family here, y'all see, that got me to 1 million diamonds. Yay. And I decided that I'm going to offer them credits in return. So I go to each of the people that are on my board that have gifted me money, credits, diamonds to get to where I'm at. I'm going back to their rooms and I'm gifting back to them. It's Think and Grow Rich. We're on chapter 7. Okay. Number 3, arrange to meet with the members of your mastermind group at least twice a week, and more often if possible until you have jointly perfected the necessary plan. Number 4, maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. So keep in mind these facts. First, you're engaged in an undertaking of major importance to you. To be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Second, you must have the advantage of the experience, education, native ability, and imagination of other minds. This is in harmony with the methods followed by every person who has accumulated a great fortune. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying you can't accumulate the wealth by yourself. You need help. Magic 2B, good morning, sir. We're finishing chapter 7. We're starting chapter 7 of Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill. You got it, Raekwon. Okay, every plan you adopt in your endeavor to accumulate wealth should be the joint creation of yourself and every other member of your mastermind group. Thanks you for locks. Exactly. It takes a village. You can originate your own plan, either in whole or in part, but see that those plans are checked and approved by the members of your mastermind alliance. When I told my group on live streams I wanted to become a diamond millionaire, they all contributed, whether they contributed their credits, sending me gifts, whether they contributed their time by coming to my stream and commenting or holding down the hearts, like everybody chipped in. So you have to communicate your plans. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If it fails, replace it in turn with still another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. Remember, guys, Thomas Edison, before he created the light bulb, he had 10,000 failures. Now think about that in your life. How many times have you guys tried to start a business, it failed, and you gave up? Savage, good morning. We're reading Think and Grow Rich, right? So when you say, oh, I tried that and it didn't work, did you try it 10,000 times? You don't even need to try it 10,000 times. You just need to try it like at least 10 times before you say, all right, this doesn't work. Okay? You have to have persistence. The most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money without plans that are practical and workable. Just keep this fact in mind. And remember, when your plans fail, that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. When your plans fail, temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It may only mean that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans. Start all over again. Now, I keep talking about live streaming YouTube because there's a lot, like I'm on live stream and there's a lot of people here that are streamers. So I talk in a language that they are understanding. A lot of live streamers on here, you want to hit that diamond milli, and then you'll try for it. You'll try like maybe a topic in your room or questions or a game, and it doesn't work. And then you might get defeated. But temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Hear that. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent electric light bulb. So he met with temporary defeat 10,000 times. If he didn't keep going, none of us would have electricity today. You got to pay attention to that. So imagine the things that you want to create, right? Who is it going to benefit? And how are they missing out by you skipping on that? Okay. Temporary defeat should mean only one thing: the certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. That's all. It's not saying that you're terrible, that you're not good enough, nothing of that. It's just saying something wrong with the plan. Tweak the plan. Millions of men go through life in misery and poverty because they lack a sound plan through which to accumulate a fortune. Henry Ford accumulated a fortune not because of his superior mind, but because he adopted and followed a plan. Remember, Henry Ford, the creator of Ford Motor Company, he didn't really have traditional schooling. He didn't really, have like a large intelligence to the point where other rich businessmen made fun of him. You know what I'm saying? So don't ever hold yourself back thinking, oh, I don't have the education or the brains to do it. You just need a sound plan. Okay. 1,000 men could be pointed out, each with a better education than Ford, yet each of whom lives in poverty because he does not possess the right plan for the accumulation of money. Exactly, babe. He said he had specialized knowledge. Oh, you remember. Okay, Locke. Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound. This may seem to be an axiomatic statement, but it's true. Samuel Insull lost his fortune over $100 million. The Insull fortune was built on plans which were sound. The business depression forced Mr. Insull to change his plans. And the change brought temporary defeat because his new plans were not sound. Mr. Insull is now an old man. He may consequently accept failure instead of temporary defeat. But if his experience turns out to be failure, it will be for the reason that he lacks the fire of persistence to rebuild his plans. You can't give up. If you have a dream in you, How many of you have the dream of owning a yacht that is off the coast of Greece and it's like a 20-man employees on the ship? Not anybody, because that's my dream, right? What is your dream? I'm pretty sure if you said what your dream is, not a lot of people are going to have that dream. Pumpkin. Thank you for the roses, Pumpkin. We're reading. So whatever it is that's your deepest desire and your dream, you have to believe in it, because for whatever reason, you were born with it and not everybody else wants that. Okay? Not everybody else wants that. Thank you for the party hats, Pumpkin. So the thing is believe in your dream, because it's put there for a reason. No man is ever whipped until he quits in his own mind. So the only way that you get whipped is when your own mind decides that you're done. This fact will be repeated many times because it is so easy to take the count at the first sign of defeat. James Hill met with temporary defeat when he first endeavored to raise the necessary capital to build a railroad from the east to the west. But he too turned defeat into victory through new plans. Henry Ford met with temporary defeat, not only at the beginning of his automobile career, but after he had gone far towards the top. He created new plans and went marching on to financial victory. We see men who have accumulated great fortunes, but we often recognize only their triumph, overlooking the temporary defeat which they had to surmount before arriving. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. So if you're afraid of failure, trying to accumulate, wealth or going towards your plans is going to be hard. You have to, baby, thank you for the chocolate strawberry. You have to be okay with defeat. You have to be okay with saying, okay, I got to rework my plans. Y'all know I own several businesses. I lost 3 due to COVID. I have 3 that are standing very strong. But I can tell you, as a businesswoman, you have to try and try and try again. There's many times I've come into streams with an idea and I ran it. Nobody liked it. Nobody showed up. Nobody responded. Nobody got in the box. I was like, okay, that's not for my stream. I don't say it's a bad idea, because I bet if another streamer did it, it would be successful, right? I'm just saying that that wasn't the idea for my stream. So back to the drawing board. What else can I do? And that's what you do until you find the formula that works. Okay? When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound, and then rebuild those plans and set sail once more towards your coveted goal. If you give up before your goal has been reached, you are a quitter. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Lift this sentence out, write it out, and place it where you will see it every night before you go to sleep and every morning before you go to work. When you begin to select members for your mastermind group, endeavor to select those who do not take defeat seriously. Some people foolishly believe that only money can make money. That's not true. Desire, transmuted into its monetary equivalent through the principles laid down here, is the agency through which money is made. Money of itself is nothing but inert matter. It cannot move, think, or talk, but it can hear when a man who desires it calls it to come. How many of you are calling money to you? Okay, Vegas. Are you actively sitting every day saying, I desire this money, I desire this life, I desire this work, I desire this home, I desire this car, right? Thank you for the love bear. Are you calling money to you? Exactly. Chant it, right? So now they're going to, talk about marketing of personal services. This might be helpful for streamers on here. How many of you that are listening right now are streamers? Just put a 1 in the comments, because this might be helpful to any streamers, because this is about marketing. Let me just weed through it. It should be encouraging to know that practically all the great fortunes began in the form of compensation for personal services. So that's what we do. Okay. We are getting, every time you get gifts in your room, you're getting compensation for personal services. 1, 2. Exactly, babe. Speak it into existence. All right. What else except ideas and personal services would one not possessed of property have to give in return for riches? So all you guys need to do is have your ideas, offer your personal services, and then watch the money come in. You don't need the money to start. Pencil Pete, good morning, sir. We're reading from Think and Grow Rich, chapter 7. There are 2 types of people in the world. One is the leaders and the other is the followers. Decide whether you intend to become a leader, that's me, in your chosen calling, or remain a follower. Do you guys know, are you a leader or a follower in your chosen calling? And these are things you got to speak into existence. I'm a leader. Me, I'm a leader. The difference in compensation is vast. The follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled. And here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. There's a lot of us that are self-employed or say doing live streaming or whatnot, and then we want to complain, right? You want to complain about the hours that you work or the energy you need to build a room or the things you got to do, like you got to go to other people's room and network and socialize and all of that. And we can complain, but you got to remember, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So if you want the compensation that a leader deserves, you got to take all that work with it, because heavy is the head that wears the crown. Now you could choose to be a follower and just come and hang out and whatever, but you're not going to get compensated for it. Most great leaders began in the capacity of followers. How many of us were just on here on live streams watching, and then we decided to do it? They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the man who cannot follow a leader intelligently cannot become an efficient leader. The man who can follow a leader most efficiently is usually the man who develops into leadership most rapidly. An intelligent follower has many advantages, among them the opportunity to acquire knowledge from his leader. Everything you do in life is a learning opportunity. Even if you work at a job where you have a terrible boss, because I've worked at jobs where I had terrible bosses, and you know what we did? It taught me what not to be as a boss. So when I started having employees of my own, I would remember how that boss was to me and remind myself, don't be like that, right? The major attributes of leadership. Y'all ready for this? They got like, wow, they got 11 points. If you want to write it down, get your pen and paper. 11 points, the major attributes of leadership. 1, unwavering courage. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself and your occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. So all the things you do in life to build your courage and your self-confidence, you might think it's just self-development, but you're actually developing yourself as a leader. You can't be a leader if you don't have self-confidence and courage. How many of you have self-confidence and courage? Put a 2 in the comments. If you know to yourself, I have self-confidence, I'm courageous, right? I have the ability to lead people. There we go. There we go. That's it. Thank you for being honest, Liz. Thank you. Because that's the thing. Once you start to like go into these things and say, wait a minute, I really need to know like what this is all about, then you start to see how you can become the leader. Number 2, self-control. The man who cannot control himself can never control others. This is why I fight against addictions. My father is a very strong businessman. And he told me when I was a little girl, never have an addiction, because you must never have anything in life that has control over you. That really resonated to me. So how many of you, put a 3 in the comments, you have self-control? The self-control sets a mighty example for your followers, which the more intelligent will emulate. Dad got it. Yeah. Self-control is huge. Can you just have one glass of wine at a party? Can you just eat 2 cookies out of that cookie tray? Thank you for your honesty, Rose. That's beautiful. He says he has a lot of self-control, but he needs to work some more. Yeah. But you see, like, okay, when I'm reading these points, right? Don't go into judging yourself. Go into like awareness, like, oh, okay, I really want to be a leader in my field. I really want to be a leader in my occupation. Okay, I need these things. Cool. Now I know what I got to work on, right? Don't judge yourself. Just like store it. Number 3, a keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his followers. Are you a fair person? Put a 4 in the comments. Are you a fair person? Are you seeking justice? Are you seeking equality for all? Yeah, that should be a big one for everybody, right? Definiteness of decision. The man who wavers in his decisions show that he is not sure of himself. He cannot lead others successfully. All right. I'm gonna say put a 4 in the comments. My bad. Put a 4 in the comments if you have definiteness of decision. I'm lining it up with the numbers here. So put a 4 in the comments if you have a definiteness of decision. If you're somebody who's decisive. Now, if you're indecisive, then you can't put a 4. Number 5, definiteness of plans. Ooh. The successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. Put a 5. Tazzy, I don't know your name. Tazzy, good morning. Jason, thanks for the fave. Yes, if you have a definite plan, you know where you're going. You may not know how to get there, but you know like where you want to end up. Put a 5 in the comments. There you go. 6, the habit of doing more than paid for. Ooh, that's a big one. Now we're talking about the qualities of a leader, right? Number 6, one of the penalties of leadership is the necessity of willingness upon the part of the leader to do more than is required of his followers. If they require you to work 8 hours at your job, do you put in 8.5 hours? If they require you to show up at 9 a.m., do you show up at 8:45? Yes, Liz put 6, exclamation, 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 right? Do you do more than is required of you? Very good. Got my peoples in here. That's right. Number 7, a pleasing personality. No slovenly, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect a leader who does not grade high on all of the factors of a pleasing personality. You got that 7? Good. You got to have a pleasing personality because you have to be charismatic and be able to make people feel comfortable and make people feel like you know what you're doing, right? Cool. You got the 7s. 8, sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with his followers. Moreover, he must understand them and their problems. Are you capable of having sympathy and understanding of other people and what they're going through, or are you judging them? Liz got an 8. Good. 9, mastery of detail. Successful leaders call for mastery of details of the leader's position. That one I struggle with, the detail part. 9, mastery of detail. I do struggle with that. Successful leadership calls for mastery of details because I'm still working on that. Anybody got a 9 for that? Mastery, like you're really good with the details? 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. Now that's a huge one. The successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and the shortcomings of his followers. If he tries to shift this responsibility, he will not remain the leader. If one of his followers make a mistake and shows himself incompetent, the leader must consider that it is he who failed. Wow. Did anybody get a 10? Dad, congrats to you. That's good. And 11, cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. 9.5. I love that. So that's 11. Are you a person who cooperates? Are you always looking to help people? So there's two kinds of leadership. There's leadership by consent and leadership by force. Which are you? I don't even have to describe that. You know what that means. Do you force people to follow you, or are you, because you are like, say, the manager of the job, so you weren't really elected to be manager, you were chosen by higher administration, so now you're a manager, so it's a forced leadership? Or are you a leadership by consent? People just make you their leader. I motivate people to follow me. You're a leader by force? Exactly. When you force the outcome, it isn't good. Yeah, I would like to say I'm a leader by consent. Whatever situation I go into, people look to me for answers, or they look to me to lead. And that's not by me forcing myself on them. It's just them saying, we trust you and we feel like you can do it. Then that's consent, babe. If they follow you because of you, then that's leadership by consent. History is filled with evidence that leadership by force cannot endure. The downfall and disappearance of dictators and kings is significant. It means that people will not follow forced leadership indefinitely. Yeah, there's a new relationship. They're saying the world has entered a new era of relationship between leaders and followers. It's definitely more lax. Like a dictator kind of leader, you can't access the leader, and they're like up here and you're down here. But what we're finding is the model is this is a leader and these are the followers. They're all on the same platform, but it's not like somebody up here and somebody down here. It's like equals, but then we know who's leading the pack. Okay. Napoleon, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, and the Tsar of Russia and the King of Spain were examples of leadership by force. Their leadership passed. Without much difficulty, one might point to the prototypes of these ex-leaders among the business, financial, and labor leaders of America who have been dethroned or slated to go. Leadership by consent is the only brand which can endure. Because remember, if you're following forced leadership, you're doing so temporarily, but you're not doing it willingly, right? The 10 major causes of failure in leadership. Inability to organize details. I'll be honest with you guys, this is where I fail as a leader. It's the detail orientation is where I struggle. I'm very good at visions, like creating the vision, but to follow through is hard. Efficient leadership calls for ability to organize and master details. When a man, whether he's a leader or follower, admits that he's too busy to change his plans or give attention to any emergency, he admits his inefficiency. The successful leader must be the master of all details connected with his position. You can't be too good. Like if you are, let's say you're running a podcast and you're running into technical difficulties, you can't get frustrated. You have to work through the technical difficulties. Number 2, unwillingness to render humble service. You got to be humble, right? As a leader. Number 3, expectation of pay from what they know instead of what they do with that which they know. Oh, that's a big one. Expectation of what they know, of pay for what they know instead of what they do with that which they know. The world does not pay men for that which they know. It pays them for what they do or induce others to do. So that's a big one right there. Number 4, fear of competition from followers. The leader who fears that one of his followers may take his position is practically sure to realize that fear sooner or later. The able leader trains understudies to whom he may delegate at will any of the details of his position. Only in this way may a leader multiply himself and prepare himself to be at many places. Panta! So if you're leading and you're afraid of people overtaking you, that's scarcity. That's a scarcity mindset. I'll tell you guys right now, I have apprenticeship programs at my center, and I train people to do exactly what I do. right? Because why? You should want people to grow. And the more people grow, you're multiplying yourself. Because every time my students go out to a fair or a festival or a job or whatever, they're saying, Uma train me, Uma train me, Uma. It's just growing. Okay. Lack of imagination, that can bring you down. Without imagination, the leader is incapable of meeting emergencies. Selfishness, the leader who claims all the honor for the work of his followers is sure to be met by resentment. Intemperance, followers do not respect an intemperate leader. Disloyalty, the leader who is not loyal to his trust and to his associates, those above him, those below him, cannot long maintain his leadership. For those of us that are streamers, you have to be loyal to your board. Whether you have a board or not, you don't have to show your board, but you have to be loyal. I recommend every streamer on here, if you're streaming, that you buy this board from Staples or Walmart or wherever, and you keep it in your room. And every day you write down your top 20, your top 30, your top 40 or 50 gifters, and you go and show them your loyalty to them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you got to honor the people that are honoring you. People love loyalty. And when they see that you're loyally showing up in their rooms, dropping gifts, or just, you may not have money to drop gifts. You may not have diamond conversions to drop gifts, but you can go in and be part of the conversation. You could go in and hold down the hearts. You could go in and give the free EBT gifts. You know what I'm saying? You don't have, it's not always about money. It's about loyalty though. And you have to show loyalty. There's like, okay, I'll be back. He is not a streamer as of yet. So there's a lot of people that support me in my room that are not streamers. So when they come in the room, I make a big fuss about them because that's me showing my loyalty to them. Thank you. Thank you for supporting my room. Right? Thank you for the love bear. See? Just like that. Thank you for the party hats. Just like that. Show loyalty. Emphasis of the authority of leadership. The efficient leader leads by encouraging and not trying to instill fear in the hearts of his followers. All right. So if you're on here and you're making people fearful, like I've been in some streams, it's like toxic. I've been in some streams where they're like, oh, if you want to be a bouncer, you know, you got to drop 10,000, spin 10 wheels, and then you could become a bouncer in this room. What the what? Or then you're going to get chastised by the whole room if you don't spend money in the room. Or like if a leader in the room, you know, the streamer calls you out and say, hey, you're in here and your name is blue. You didn't give any gifts. The whole room will rag on that person until they leave or until they give a gift. That kind of stuff doesn't last long. Where I supported when they got on and wasn't able to gift for a time, they wouldn't speak to me because I was blue. I've actually seen that. And I actually called Rose because there is somebody that we all know, I'm not going to mention names, that I went into their room, but because my name has changed, they didn't know that it was me and completely ignored me. And I purposely didn't drop any gifts or do anything. I just sat and watched, and that person completely ignored me. And the minute I dropped the gift, then they started talking to me. And then when they started talking to me, I let them know, hey, it's Uma. And they were like, oh, and then it was the big kitten shebang. You know what I'm saying? And it used to be about, yeah, you know, and that's the thing, like they're going to lose followers because that stuff gets old. That stuff does not last. Okay. Number 10, emphasis of title. The competent leader requires no title to give him the respect of his followers. The man who makes too much over his title generally has little else to emphasize. These are among the more common of the causes of failure in leadership. Any one of these faults is sufficient to induce failure. Study the list carefully if you aspire to leadership and make sure that you are free of these faults. Okay, so we're going to stop there because chapter 7 is a really long chapter, and I will come back tomorrow to complete chapter 7. So we're talking about organized planning.